I want to start this video off by saying that I absolutely love and adore Dead by Daylight, but after 6,000 hours in the game, even for you, I'm sure you can agree that it's nowhere near perfect. Now, Dead by Daylight has done something that no other game has done, which is dominate the asymmetrical horror genre. But with that being said, and little to no competition, sometimes you might coast and work at your own pace. With that, introduces a ton of different issues and problems that sometimes the community really doesn't appreciate, including myself. So in today's video, we're going over the biggest problems that are plaguing Dead by Daylight. Let's start off with the poor UI design. For one, it's 2023 and we don't even have a search bar for perks yet. And I know what you're thinking. Just go A, B, C, D. I'm not reciting the goddamn alphabet every time I want to look for a perk like Hexerwin or Overzealous. I'm just kidding. Nobody uses those crappy perks. But on a real, I mean, this is a big issue with hundreds of different perks in the game currently. Sometimes finding that one perk that you need to use is a pain. And that can take you longer than it takes to find a match to just find the perk you're looking for. And before you jump the gun and say that, hey, this is not an issue whatsoever, and this is just a you thing, think about when the biggest streamers came over to Dead by Daylight, decided to give it a try. They wanted to custom match and people were telling them what perks to use and they couldn't even find it themselves. This is a horrible first impression that you can give, especially to big content creators that are influencing thousands upon thousands of others people, telling them that, hey, Dead by Daylight really sucks because look, I can't even find what I'm trying to look for. They don't even have ban options to not use certain perks. These are the things that just should be in Dead by Daylight, and tons of other quality of life things that just are not in the game yet, and it really does suck. Nonetheless, I digress, and let's continue talking about this poor UI. If you jump into the game, sure, we've settled on a design choice that everyone figured to be optimal, but is it? The old design that we had for the HUD and the UI was so much nicer in my opinion, and I wish that they really tailored that a little bit more to the audience. For the people that actually don't like the new UI, it would have been so awesome if they had the option just to switch back to it. This is where Dead by Daylight Mobile, their counterpart by NetEase, does such an amazing job. They actually allow the player to go in and move anything to their own liking. So if you want your HUD bar to be all on top, you can do that. If you want it to be all the way on the left or something like that, all the way on the right, whatever that is, you can do that. And we just don't even have the accessibility options to do this. Now, if you're a streamer or anybody like that, or maybe just someone that despises the HUD, the way it looks, you don't have the chance to move it around. And if you did, it would have been so much better, especially if you want to turn the opacity down, if you want to move your survivor icons all over, if you don't want to see them at all and just have no HUD in your game. These are options that we don't have, and that expands into custom games and tons of other things that we just don't have the options for. More options and better UI is definitely something I would like to see. Oh boy, where do we start with this one? The bad perks and the meta perks. I don't care what you think about Dead by Daylight if you're a survivor or a killer main, but Eruption and Dead Hard are absolutely horrific for the game right now. They are just boring, they're not fun to play against. Listen, if I'm a survivor, my main job is to work on a generator. What do you expect me to do when I can't work on a generator? I'm gonna go run and chase the killer just to get face cammed, maybe get unhooked, and then get tunneled. Not fun at all. And if I'm on the killer side, I'm getting gen rush left, right, and center. By the time I finally catch somebody, they just go into the pallet and then woohoo, Dead Hard. One more minute of chase, all the gens are done. They teabag me at the exit gate and then they talk crap. It's a hard knock life. But realistically, you can argue till you're blue with either side, and I'm sure none of the people would agree on what changes should be made. The fact of the matter is something needs to be done to both sides of this. It's unfun to play against, and it's just super boring and brings about very annoying and boring gameplay, especially when you're seeing it every single game. And you can argue till you're blue saying that, hey, that this is just Band-Aid fixing a core issue. And if that is the case, Dead by Daylight needs to work on fixing the core issue rather than putting these perks in the game to solve it, because then everybody would flock to it. And not to mention, there's 50 to 100 perks that I don't even know what they do and they're not utilized. I mean, keep it real with me. Who the hell knows what empathetic connection is? And I swear to God, if you're typing in the comments right now, you're a nerd. I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I'm not joking. There's so many perks in the game that are just so mediocre and so boring, and it would have been so much better if they took maybe 2 of those perks of any variation and made them strong together. So that way people can run 4 perks with tons of unique different types of gameplay instead of having the same 2 perks every game. Eruption Scourge Hook. adrenaline and dead hard. Oh my god. But it's so boring seeing those perks, and if they just went ahead and fixed things up, nerfed those perks so people don't use them as much, and given us good combinations that we can use, it would be so much better. And the fact of the matter is, every time a new chapter comes out, they have the opportunity to do this. I'm not saying give us the best perks in the world, but give us things that would actually shake up the meta a little bit, and we'd be like, all right, that might be interesting. It's not overbearing, but I can definitely use this with another perk to make a nice combination. But they don't use that. I mean, come on, who the hell is going to use potential energy? Sure, you can get 2 more seconds of some awesome generator time, but are you using that as opposed to dead hard? No. And Hex Face of Darkness, come on, Hex, be real. No one's using these perks whatsoever, and they really suck, and they can easily make these things a lot better, and hopefully moving forward they do so. And speaking about new things, let's talk about some of the terrible map choices that they recently have been giving us. I mean, Garden of Joy is Garden of Pain. Like, that's not even a meme, it's just the truth. And the new map, at first, I couldn't even think anything because of how red it was, and when we finally discovered what it was, hiding behind all this red mist, it was still terrible. It's palette heaven again, the loops are boring, some things are new, but realistically, it's just a pain. Whatever happened to when we used to get old maps and there were different variations? Those were so much cooler, like when Cowshed came out, or even when we had Groaning Storehouse. Old variations to maps that we're all familiar with are awesome, and having those really iconic positions on the map is cool too. Think about the silo in Colden Farm, or maybe even the Cowshed. These are things that we don't really get in the new map, and if we do have them, it's just a big house. They're just boring. I don't like them. Now that just might be my own opinion, but considering the DLC reviews and what people are talking about, and even in the most recent survey that people are asked what map you want to see, and these were the lowest, I think it speaks quite volume. You can agree or disagree with me on all the palette spawns and things like that in the tiles, but bottom line is, the 2 newest maps are just very boring. Give us that Trickster map finally, or maybe even some old variations, and I guarantee people will be happy. Here's a tough pill to swallow: monetization issues. Oh boy. I mean, we're on YouTube, so why not? Look, there's no reason for Dead by Daylight not to be free to play, and we know this because they've given the game away for free on Epic and PlayStation Store time and time again. And yes, you might be saying, hey, well, what about all the hackers that are coming in? Look, hackers have been plaguing the game forever, and Dead by Daylight need to step it up when it comes down to easy anti-cheat and just anti-cheat in general, but that's a whole different story in itself. They need to fix that off their own, and once they actually fix that, the game can definitely go free to play. Even then, the game can still go free to play. And if you are going to debate that point too, if you really knew about hacking, you know that hackers don't even need to pay for the game whatsoever. You'll still get a free copy, so it doesn't even matter. Nonetheless, there's just such a long grind that comes with this, and there's so much more cool opportunities that they can hide behind a paywall that are actually just cosmetic based and not pay to win. Mint Skull did a fantastic video covering all of this awesome and important information where he summarizes it way better than I do, and I recommend you watching it if you haven't already because it's absolutely blown up. And I swear I'm not copying his ideas, but the man makes some really good points. All the new perks coming in a Shrine, they never happen. If you're actually sitting there grinding to get another character, it will take you God knows how long. And you could argue that, hey, other games do that. Apex does it, Fortnite does it, where you can grind and get a character for free. Even Call of Duty does it. You know what the difference is? Those games are free to play. Dead by Daylight is not free to play whatsoever. So you're paying $15 and then you have to pay all these other DLCs just to get one perk that you may like. And then even then they could nerf it and then it's not good. So if they manage to fix this and hide monetization behind other things, there would be so much people that are happy. And if you're wondering what those type of things are, let's talk about some of the new things. We can have new Moris in the game. If you have a skin, for example, again, referring back to NetEase and DBD Mobile, that has a completely different Mori for a character, people would buy it so much. Look, I'm a Trapper main. I absolutely love and adore them, but I don't want to see the Trapper, the Wraiths, or the Hillbillies Mori because they're boring as hell, especially if they're putting this new Mori system in where you automatically get Mori'd at the end. Who wants to see those tame, boring Moris? Nobody. And if you're typing in the comments and you're like, well, it's not lore friendly if they change it, shut the fuck up. The person that's writing the goddamn lore for Dead by Daylight determines what's canon or not you. So if they decide to toss that Mori in like it's Mortal Kombat, sucks to be you. And if you are really that upset about it, you don't need to buy the skin. You don't need to use another Mori. At least the people that want it can have an alternative to it. And this is again exactly what Dead by Daylight NetEase has done on mobile, and people absolutely love and adore it. You can even sell these awesome, unique, animated skins without the Moris whatsoever, so people that really want just the skins can get the skins. If they want the Mori with it, get it with it. Not to mention, if we had cinematic intros for characters to load into, different loading screens itself, different music that we can hear at the beginning of the game? How about some more charms in the store that people can actually purchase that are really awesome and animated? And maybe a rift with universal Moris, or even an awesome Mori for the character they're actually featuring. The fact of the matter is there's so many other things that they could monetize and really give to the community when it comes down to it, and they choose not to, and then the monetization is just weird. The only monetization, in my opinion, that's really good are some of the $15 skins, like the new Blight one that offers you voice lines, a new weapon, unique SFX, and maybe even new chase music. And we haven't seen that. The consistency for licensed skins and legendary skins have been so all over the place. I mean, look at the Krampus skin. Yeah, cool, you have Krampus walking around. Woohoo. And then look at the Baba Yaga skin. You get a whole new chase music and a whole different lullaby. It's completely different. Then you go over to the Legion for his legendary cosmetic from Resident Evil, Hunk, and you have the same exact reused music from a different skin. Fast forward to the newest Blight skin, and all of a sudden you have new SFX for weapons, some voice lines, and a completely unique character. It seems like there's just no format or outline of what goes on with these legendary characters. Now, if you are going to hide this behind a $15 paywall and want people to buy it, make sure that it's goddamn worth it. Give us some new chase music, give us new SFX, voice lines, everything like this makes it so that the character has more character and people will be willing to buy this. Then with all that newfound money, you can go ahead and make the game free to play. And who doesn't like having random problem solves? I know I do, so you can solve my problem by hitting the subscribe button down below. And hey, come on out to Twitch. I've been streaming a lot more. We've been consistent with it. I've been plugging it a lot, but I would love to see your faces there. We're on the road to 100 average yet again. Now, this is going to take me to the 3 biggest issues that I have with Dead by Daylight currently. The first one is no new game modes or no new objectives have been added in the 6 years. Sure, the best that we've gotten was events that kinda gave us new objectives, and I feel like that's a very band-aid temporary solution, but the fact of the matter is, I've been holding M1 on generators since the beginning of time. I've been doing the same thing as Killer since the beginning of the time. Spice it up a little, add some debris around the generators that survivors maybe have to pull, and maybe even the killer can push back into place. Add some different things where maybe the survivor has to pull a switch in order to start the generator before they can start actively just working on it all willy-nilly. And the fact that we have the same goddamn basic game modes and nothing else in custom games, it surprises me how long the game has actually continued in longevity. Dead by Daylight just has that unique factor that keeps drawing people back, but eventually people are going to get sick and tired. And sure, they might at the moment be all right with it because when one person leaves, a new person joins consistently, but eventually that's not going to happen. Add new game modes to custom games to make especially good impressions with people that are playing with their friends as a casual game, or maybe even streamers that are looking just to have a fun night. We went in depth on tons of different game modes that they could add in a separate video that you guys can watch, but that's something that they can do. New objectives would be nice as well. The most we got was crushing some lanterns or crushing some pumpkins, and that was it. Maybe even going into a snowman, and while it does keep you entertained for the event, it gets quite boring. Something more permanent and a nicer solution would be much appreciated. Next on the list is not enough transparency. Now, they've kind of worked on this in the past, and I think there's still a very long road to go ahead. They just haven't been too transparent with us on what's going to come and what's not going to come out. For example, take a look at the Letterface stuff. Now, obviously, this one's a little bit more unique considering that it's a license and it couldn't just jump the gun. But take it for example, it's been maybe about a week and nobody knew what was happening with Letterface. These rumors just kind of started out of nowhere. And even if they were 100% false, it would be really reassuring if they just came out and said, nah, this is not happening. Don't believe what you're seeing online. That would have been great. Instead, it took them so long that everybody was making videos about it. And then all of a sudden, they're like, nope, we're just here to stay. And again, that was just on Twitter. More transparency would be nice. They've asked us for our voice in these surveys and asked our opinions on things, but they never were transparent themselves. They heard our voice, but we didn't hear theirs. The last time we officially heard like a big announcement from them, as far as my memory goes, was when they changed the Size of Strike and Object of Obsession and showed us what they were going to do. I don't know how well or poorly that was received on their end, but I thought it was really awesome because we had some good, healthy debates about if the changes were good or not. Obviously, D-Strike got changed and it was terrible, and Iron Will kind of the same thing, and a ton of other perks, but it would have been fantastic if we knew about this to voice our opinion saying, hey, this kind of sucks. Or maybe even something about like the twins bug. I know not a lot of people play twins, but that's the issue and why more people are not even playing them. There's been maybe 3 or 4 or 5 major game-breaking bugs that have been in the game for 3+ months now, and we don't even know if these are going to be fixed. You get the occasional reply in the forums, but nothing solid or concrete. In fact, the twins were promised to be the next rework killer for the past year now, so where is that? Where is the new Mori system? Where's the new key changes? Where's the new hatch changes? That all of these things were promised. If they're delayed, that's understandable, but let us know. And I get it, bug fixes are a little bit different, and in case you guys didn't know how bug fixes work, let me give you a little quick lesson. Now I know this is true because I heard this directly from a dev when I went to Behavior to visit them. I'm going to try to recap this as quick as I can. Let's use the PTB for example, the night peak. When everything is ready to go and you're shipping out that PTB, the reason why it's not on console is because it has to get approved by Sony and Microsoft. Putting it on Steam is just an instant success. You can drop it in there, bada bing, bada boom. While this is live, they're currently working on all of the bugs that they know and are known to them. They're trying to get it all into a patch. So while you're playing the PTB and discovering new bugs, they're actively working on a patch of what they can fix. Once this is done, by the time the 2 weeks pass, they then submit the bug approval, all the things that they already knew were an issue, to now be submitted to Sony and Microsoft to come fully into the store for everybody to purchase. This goes through an approval process that every time you have to pay a large chunk of money for. But sometimes they even decline it and say no. During this time, you have to rush and fix up whatever they say no about to resubmit it. By the time this is submitted and approved, the 2 weeks has passed, or 2 to 3 weeks, where it's like, all right, this is ready to go. So sometimes when they say, hey, this is delayed, we need to work on some things, it's probably because Sony or Microsoft has not approved this. Now, when it's finally in the game, they can now work on the bugs that were all in the way back in the PTB. And you know how much time they actually have to push all these bug fixes to go so that, hey, everything is fixed, and then next week, Tuesday, 1 week after the PTB is released officially as a chapter, to then get the bug fix? They have 2 days to do so. So within those 2 days, they need to cram everything that people found in the PTB and then rush it out into the next Tuesday's patch, and sometimes you're not able to cover all of that. And that's essentially how bug fixing works and all of that stuff. So when it comes down to PTB time, it's crunch time. You gotta make sure everything is working quite well. Needless to say, they do a pretty good job at this, but then it takes me back to my original point. Something like the Twins bug shouldn't be there for that long. Twins bug has been there for over 3 months. You might be saying that, hey, no one plays the Twins, so who really cares? Well, what about maps like RPD that still have bugs to this day that have not been kill switched? The whole point of the kill switch is to stop these game breaking bugs until they can actually fully implement to fix them. We haven't even seen that being. It's quite disappointing. I just wish we knew a little bit more about what's going on. And the occasional time that we do know information is when, I reach out to them as a fog whisperer and be like, hey, what's going on with this? Can I share something with my community? And that's something I want to do myself. I want to give more transparency to you guys. That's why we're going to do more documentary style videos like this one. And in next week's video, I'm going to tell you everything that it is to be a fog whisperer, how I became a fog whisperer, what goes behind the scenes, and all of that good juicy stuff. So make sure you're subscribed down below. And this takes me to my final thing, which isn't really Dead by Daylight's fault, and I don't think they mind, and that is just no competition. I mean, let's be honest, in the asymmetrical scene, there is literally no competition whatsoever. In no particular order, we had games that attempted to do this, and everybody's saying, hey, Dead by Daylight's gonna die to this game. From Friday the 13th, Gold Express, Home Sweet Home, Last Year, Hide or Die. The list goes on and on. You can even talk about new games like VHS and Evil Dead. I mean, these games just don't cut it. And I can go into a whole nother video and a whole nother rant of why these games fully don't work. To give you the gist of it is that most people that play Dead by Daylight, they get pretty bummed out and tired with the game after 1,000 hours or so. You start to see all of these problems that I just mentioned. Because of that, you get really burnt out, especially if it's the only game that you're playing all the time, which you shouldn't do, but regardless, we do because it's a great game. Then you get burned out, you look for the next best thing, and when one of these games come on the horizon, you're like, all right, let's go. Now, these indie developers that have been creating these games get a large influx of players that they're not ready to handle, and instead of making some awesome, cool patches to keep those players hooked and entertained, they fumble. They fumble really hard, and sometimes they take forever to put out a patch, and sometimes when they do, in the case of Last Year and some other games, they take a big payout from other people. Sometimes they're like, all right, you know what? Let's just look at what Dead by Daylight's done and just do that. And you're not going to beat DBD at doing what DBD does best. That's why I thought Phasmophobia had the best shot of beating Dead by Daylight, as they're not particularly the same game, but they pull from the same exact audience. And by doing so, those people would then go to the other game, and if they did it right, Dead by Daylight would be pushing out their best content to get those players back. Right now, they're just kind of coasting, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're working at their own pace, which is appreciative and can respect it. They're working on a nice schedule. But imagine all of the unique and cool ideas that would take place if they were like, okay, listen, everybody's going to VHS. We really need to get something to bring those players back. Not just a double blood points day or something like that. Something solid, something good, something that community has been wanting. But because there's no competition, there's no urgency of doing this, and you can use this as an example with anything. For example, me making this documentary style video is me trying to up my game because of how competitive YouTube and Twitch and all social media has gotten. I've done this in the past when it came down to game shows. Before that, we had fan-made chapters, and way back in the days, we even had Mythbusters. Dead by Daylight has had instances of this, but never really anyone to push them to the limits to see what the game can fully produce. And I think because of that, they're happy with coasting. Because of that, the players are not fully getting what they want. Nonetheless, that's some of the major big issues that I have with Dead by Daylight. I hope you guys did enjoy this. It's definitely a lot of issues, but like I said, I love the game. It is one of the best games, or else I wouldn't have synced so much hours into it and continue to make content on it. I absolutely do love the game. I just want it to be a lot better than what it is, and I'm sure you guys have your own grievances and problems with it. I decided to try to make this in a new style of format of video, especially because of this goddamn email of this guy trying to work for me. I don't think this is how you get somebody to work for you, by insulting them. I wanted to try something a little bit different and something new and fresh on the channel, and I really hope you guys did enjoy, and if you did, please subscribe and let me know down below. I might do more of these in the future, and I would love to hear your honest thoughts and opinions on not just the video, but the editing style and everything about this. I have more videos like this that I plan, such as what it's like to be a fog whisperer, the entire truth about Stranger Things, and things like that. So if you guys do want to see more, make sure you leave a like down below. But that's going to do it for me. I didn't follow the Fog Whisperer script today, so you know what that means. I'm not getting paid, so hit the subscribe button down below. As always, I'm the King. I tip my crown to you guys, and we'll see you in the fog. Hey, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below and subscribe. I know I said that like a million times, but just in case you forgot. We also have videos on the second channel where we show some of our gameplay from our Twitch. We also have some more videos on this channel that you might enjoy, and we're posting some YouTube shorts now. Don't forget to actually take a look at our Twitch too. We're trying, and we have a Discord that you guys can join. Okay, that's gonna do it for me. Bye!